We continue discussing how to deal with challenges in the process of growing up, and the theme of this discussion is adversity. There are two main points. 1. When your performance is stagnant and you want to improve, you must first let your performance drop. You have to retreat to advance because you need to change your approach. 2. Changing your approach requires a scaffold. Altering your route, seeking guidance, changing your mindset, and helping each other. All of this requires a certain degree of prosociality. Now let's delve into the details. Grant's book contains many hero stories, similar to the hero stories found in many English books, mostly about Americans. When you read these stories, you may have a certain sentiment. They are not like the young idols in Marvel movies who are exceptionally handsome or weird, appearing with some superpowers and instantly becoming invincible. Their growth is not smooth sailing. Often, they have complex experiences and may have engaged in several professions. The scholar used to be a soldier. The journalist used to be a physicist, and before studying physics, he was a long-distance runner. The entrepreneur was once expelled from his own company, but later made a comeback. The governor used to be a famous actor. The Nobel Prize winner, who invented Myrna vaccines, was almost fired from the university because he couldn't produce results, and then you find out her daughter won an Olympic gold medal. By the time you know them, they are often in middle age. They have a simple temperament, no celebrity aura, and perhaps a few words with them could make you friends. When Elon Musk founded SpaceX, he once gave a speech at a university. He was already a billionaire, but compared to the current scale, he was still in the early stages. Musk, alone, and a classmate in a beat-up car picked him up from the airport to the physics department. They chatted along the way, and the classmate had a very positive impression of him but didn't really treat him as a celebrity. If you have experienced adversity, you know how difficult it is to do what you do, and you are not in the mood to show off. But there is a light in their eyes. You can feel that they are persevering in something, climbing something, creating something. In most people's hearts, there is an ideal, a desire to do something significant, but mediocrity is like gravity. If your goal is to achieve something significant, you will quickly encounter various difficulties and adversities. Temporary inability to make money, lack of recognition, these are all minor issues. As long as you believe what you're doing is right, believe that gold will shine, you'll be fine. What's truly frightening is when you realize your abilities seem to have hit a ceiling. You're not lazy, and you're not unwilling to invest, but suddenly your performance no longer improves. Goals that seemed within reach before now feel like they're distant. No matter how hard you try, you can't make progress, and you find yourself in a dead end. At this point, if you are relatively old, the rational choice for most people is to give up. I don't know what algorithm can scientifically determine whether to give up, but what if you don't want to give up? Then you say, can I continue to work harder, persist, and persist again? Maybe miracles will happen. That's not promising. Scientific evidence does not support using the same method to solve a problem that has already been proven not to work. Scientific evidence supports that encountering a plateau in growth is actually a normal phenomenon. Everyone will go through this step, and not just once. Two cognitive scientists, Wayne Gray and John Lindstedt, examined various data on progress over more than 100 years and found a pattern. When performance is stagnant, if you want to improve again, you must let the performance drop. You have to step back to move forward. This is because you must change your approach. The old approach can only take you so far, and the new approach is not yet familiar to you, so when you switch methods, your performance will surely decline initially. Decline represents progress. Grant gave an example, typing. If you initially learned to type by staring at the keyboard, you could quickly reach a speed of 30 to 40 words per minute. Then you reached a plateau. No matter how you practiced, you couldn't improve. At this point, you have to change the method, switch to touch typing, look only at the screen and not the keyboard. Touch typing will make your performance drop, and you need to adapt, but only in this way can you break through that barrier. The principle is simple, right? The problem is that the method is not something you can change easily, you need help. Let's talk about another hero story, the most touching character in the whole book, professional baseball pitcher Ara Dickey. I think his story should be made into a movie. Let's call him Ara, just like Grant does. Ara was considered a baseball genius since junior high school. Professional scouts came to watch his games in high school, and during college, he won an Olympic bronze medal representing the United States in the national team. Then he was selected in the first round by the Texas Rangers, and just the signing bonus alone was $800,000. However, just before signing, the Rangers discovered a problem with his arm. His right elbow lacked a ligament. This meant that his pitching speed would have a very low limit. The Rangers still kept Ara, but reduced the signing bonus to $80,000 and sent him down to the minor league. If you can develop, we have hope. If you can't, the investment loss is not significant. Of course, Ara was not reconciled. He thought of a way. My arm strength is not enough, so can I pitch smartly? Ara tried to throw the ball at different speeds and spins each time, confusing the opposing hitters. This move worked, and he made a name for himself in the minor leagues. 7 years later, the Rangers called Ara back to the major leagues. But the story is not that simple. Ara's tricks were not very effective against major league hitters, and his performance was mediocre. After 3 seasons, he was sent down to the minor league again. Then Ara continued to practice. He practiced to the point of madness. Even when driving, he had to take a ball to find the feel. So the Rangers gave him another chance. And then he failed again. By this time, Ara was already 31 years old. Most players his age were about to retire, and he was back in the minor league. The twists and turns of fate can be endured, but the problem is that Ara seemed unable to improve no matter how he practiced. The next part of the story has a bit of a legendary taste. You guessed it, Ara had hidden potential. But it's not like finding martial arts secrets under a cliff. At this last point of being sent down, Ara's pitching coach gave him a vague hint. Imagine a dialogue in a movie. The coach said, "Your current pitching style is impossible to return to the major leagues. But I've been observing you for so long and found that sometimes you can pitch a kind of weird ball, very distinctive. For many years, there's been a legend in the world of baseball about a kind of knuckleball, also called butterfly ball. It is said that after throwing it, the ball doesn't go in a straight line, it sways left and right, making it difficult for hitters. Your weird ball seems to have some of that meaning. How about you practice the knuckleball?" That kind of ball does exist. The orthodox pitching method in baseball involves gripping the ball with the fingers and giving it a strong spin at the moment of release, adding a rotation to the wrist. This stabilizes the ball's trajectory, and you can point it wherever you want. The knuckleball, on the other hand, involves using the fingernails of the index and middle fingers to flick the ball, deliberately avoiding spin. After the ball is thrown, the different turbulence created by the seams and smooth areas of the ball in the air causes a zigzag trajectory. Not only is it difficult for hitters to catch the knuckleball, but even catchers need an extra large glove to catch the ball. The knuckleball also has the advantage that it doesn't require high speed and power, which extends the pitcher's career, and this happens to be most suitable for Ara. But the problem is, the coach didn't know how to practice the knuckleball. No one knows for sure. All pitchers are trained from a young age to add a spin with their wrists, but the knuckleball requires no spin. You must throw the ball in a very stiff posture. To practice the knuckleball, Ara had to forget his proficient pitching style and learn it again. Contrary to legendary stories, the next plot is not a revenge journey, but a journey of cooperation. Ara started seeking advice everywhere. Indeed, there have been over a dozen players who have successfully thrown the knuckleball, but most of them have retired, and currently, there is only one active player in the major leagues who can throw the knuckleball. All these people's skills are not systematic, and no one has summarized the theory. Ara went to ask for advice one by one, and these people were generous and taught him wholeheartedly. Especially the current player, it's like telling Ara his trade secrets, and Grant jokingly said it might be to prevent the knuckleball technique from being lost. Ara absorbed and filtered information like a sponge, and finally developed his unique knuckleball throwing technique. In Grant's words, those who helped Ara provided him with a scaffold, a temporary support structure. When you climb up and encounter obstacles that you can't overcome on your own, you need to find a scaffold to leverage. Heroes can't rely solely on themselves. You don't need the tragic feeling of going all the way in one direction. If it doesn't work at a glance, you should quickly find a scaffold. The guidance of a master is a kind of scaffold, but there is another situation where your obstacle is not the wrong method, but the loss of motivation. We say that people who do great things must rely on self-motivation, but people can't always be so high-spirited. Sometimes you know what to do, but you just don't want to do it. You are not sick or injured, but you are listless, just wanting to lie flat. This state has a formal name, called languishing, and sometimes also called listlessness. The scaffold to deal with languishing is to change your mindset. Various studies show that the most significant factor affecting self-drive is the sense of progress. Even if you are tired now, as long as you are making rapid progress, you will be very motivated. Languishing is because human progress is always tortuous, just at a time when there is not so much progress in work, and the motivation is gone. To continue to gain motivation, the best way is to have a hobby. For example, playing some small games at home in the evening. This hobby can be very different from your work, so you are more likely to make progress. I used to like playing 2 games of chess, with a low-level I at home in the evening or doing 2 math problems. Grant likes to play crossword puzzles. You can do anything, the key is to find the feeling of winning from it. Although the victory is not worth mentioning, it will give you motivation. I understand this as a mechanism opposite to learned helplessness. It is called learned winning. When Ara practiced the knuckleball alone, he broke down the practice into some deliberate games, such as winning if he could throw a ball without rotation, providing motivation for himself. At the age of 35, Ara returned to the major leagues. Sometimes, even if you don't have to win, just changing your mindset is effective. For example, you just watched a particularly painful movie, and you think it will affect you for the next few days, and you want to get out of it as soon as possible. An interesting study found that playing Tetris immediately has a good effect. Don't wait for the emotions to pass before playing, play immediately. Brain imaging shows that playing Tetris can activate your visual spatial circuit, thereby interfering with the sedimentation of those painful scenes in your brain. The timing is crucial. If more than 24 hours have passed, the painful scenes have already settled, and playing games will be of no use. In fact, it's still treating yourself as a biological machine. You must carefully choose what material to feed your neural network. At the age of 37, Ara was already an elite player in the major leagues, but he wanted to go further. At this stage of his career, it's not a matter of skill level, it requires a breakthrough in mentality. The scaffold Ara found was climbing Mount Kilimanjaro, the highest peak in Africa. That was his childhood dream, and he gave this trip a special meaning. As long as he could reach the summit, sponsors would raise money for charity. This activity was very adventurous, but Ara used 7 days to reach the summit. He deeply felt something bigger than himself at the summit. He felt smaller than ever, and this feeling is intoxicating. Perhaps the sense of insignificance brought by climbing, and the contribution to charity raised Ara's upper limit. Coming down from the mountain, Ara had the best season of his career, breaking several records and making it to the All-Star game. Another common scaffold is to move forward with a group of like-minded friends. Isn't there an African proverb that says, if you want to go fast, go alone, if you want to go far, go together? The point is that a group of people can not only encourage each other but also teach and learn from each other. As we know, having the opportunity to teach others provides greater learning motivation and truly helps you understand what you're learning. Grant also cites research that says when you cheer for others and encourage them to pick themselves up, you are also encouraging yourself at the same time. All the scaffolds we mentioned, changing routes, seeking guidance, changing mindsets, helping each other, require a certain level of prosociality. You have to treat others as people and treat yourself as a person,